Hello, my name is Tom Frost. I'm an MSM software consultant with BMC Software. Welcome to this MainView console management short training presentation, in which I will show you how to set up a CCS server to connect to an OSA ICC console sessions. Assuming you have a MainView console management software server up and running, let's add in a new CCS server and configure a couple of console sessions. Start by logging into the Console Management Web Management page. Now go to the Console Consolidation tab from the Management main page. We'll create a new server, so select the New Server button. Just to be original, let's call this new server New Server. First, we'll fill in the General tabs options. Controller type. Usually this will be OSA for OSA ICC, the console controller on board on an OSA card. This option also works for IBM 2074 gateways. Set this to Visara if you have SCON attached Visara SCON console controller. Upstream IP. This is the IP address of the OSA ICC you want to connect to for consoles. Notice that a CCS server can only connect to one OSA or 2074 or SCON. You would just create more CCS servers to connect to other gateways at other IP addresses. Default port. For OSA ICC this is typically 1024, and for 2074s it is 3270 or 3271. For Visaras you will override this entry for each session. We can ignore the keys. This is left over from the olden days when the product was licensed per connection. Today, License Manager handles the license keys, but go ahead and leave the port at 1579. We'll set this CCS server to auto start when the Linux server starts. And for now, we will not use command suppression. Now we can move to the Sessions tab. Click New Session to create the first session. This is where we define each session. These parameters are similar to those you would use to configure a 3270 emulator to attach to an OSA ICC console session. Session name. Use something meaningful here. Here I'm calling it LPAR A console at address 320. Session description. This can be seen in the configuration list, so make it something meaningful. Skip down to upstream port. For OSA ICC and 2074, we leave this as the default we set in the general panel. For Visara SCONs, each session will use a unique port as defined in the SCON. TN3270 LU name. This is the LU or resource definition for that session as set in the HMC for the OSA ICC or on the 2074. Maximum simultaneous connections. This is how many end users can use this session at once. Figure out how many operators may have this session up at a time and use that number. Typical numbers are around 20. Skip down to model. For terminal type, this is where you would set it to be a mod 2, a 3, a 4, or 5. And leave the extended attributes on if you don't have a reason to turn it off. Input options. For consoles, we normally set this to buffered input, which allows session sharing without interfering with each other's commands. Save this session definition. The rest of the sessions will be very similar to the first. You can use the copy function to create the rest. Just modify the name, description, TN3270LU name fields. I copied the first session into a second called LPAR B 320 and made the updates. Now let's go to the Clients tab. Here we are defining how the end user will connect to the CCS session. We want this connection to be SSL encrypted. Deselect the top option and select the Enable SSL Access at Port option. The port you use must be unique on this Linux server. and the end users must be able to reach the MainView console management server using that port. Check with your networking and firewall people to determine what ports to use. Now let's jump to the Connectivity tab. From this tab, you can verify that the session you just created can reach the OSA ICC and get the sessions you asked for. We can do 3 tests from this page: a ping, a socket connect, and a TN3270 connection. Remember that a TN3270 connection cannot occur if another TN3270 client is already attached to that session. Here I show you a failed socket connect all ports, as my OSA ICC and port values are bogus. We now want to be sure to go back to the General tab and save this configuration. We will see our new server in the CCS Server list, but since the server was not restarted since we created this CCS, we would have to manually start it from this page. One more thing, if you want the CCS sessions to show up on the CCS consoles list, you need to go to the Configure Access button on this page. Just check the sessions from the new server. Now they will show up in the CCS console list and be available to end users. That's all for today. Thank you for your time, and please join us again for more MainView console management short training videos.